Trump surrogates were out on the Sunday shows this weekend, desperately just grasping for anything to defend the Trump tariff regime that has sent the market tanking and the economy into flux.
Yeah, so, and I want to cover that. So this is Tim Miller's going to annihilate the Trump MAGA tools. I want to show you some of the tweets and everything. You know, you got Benny Johnson. Everybody's like, you know, hey, this is great. You know, matter of fact, I'll play a clip from Benny to show you how they say that it's so great. But I want to just jump ahead to Howard Lutnick, because this is the part that MAGA doesn't do. They're not allowed to talk about Howard Lutnick. Who's Howard Lutnick, right? He's always around Trump. It's bad enough that Elon Musk is always around Trump, but Howard Lutnick, I feel like, paid a price to be all around Trump and helping to make some big decisions. And so let's go ahead and get into that part of the clip, and I'll show you how MAGA's really just excited about something that they should just not. They should say, let's wait and see even. But they're just so excited.
Related to that, for sure. But just because one thing isn't perfect doesn't mean what replaces it is going to be better. In fact, usually it's going to be worse. It's the shittification of our society. And so Donald Trump resetting global trade, that should send a chill down your spine. That's what the Secretary of Commerce said today. All right, I got one more funny one from Clown Lutnick. Someone sent me Nutlick on social media. I know I'm a child, but I have to admit that made me laugh. Here's Lutnick.
Great American workers. You know, we are going to replace
on other networks.
armies of millions of people. Well, remember, the army of millions and millions of human beings screwing in little screws to make iPhones. That kind of thing is going to come to America.
Okay. So, the army of millions and millions of human beings screwing in little screws to make iPhones, that kind of thing is going to come to America. That is a bad quote, okay? I mean, that is a quote of somebody who has not met a human that works with their hands in many, many years. Is there anybody out there who's like, boy, I'm really dying for a job screwing in little screws into the iPhone? That's going to be real high quality work. I'm going to find a lot of dignity in that job. I mean, that is just an insane quote. It's so stupid that I think maybe if you just kind of like listen to the whole clip and you try to understand what he's trying to say and you're generous to Nutlick, then what you'll see is maybe he's trying to say that we're going to get rid of those jobs. So sorry if you're a poor Vietnamese person that is screwing in little screws, we're getting rid of your job. We're going to bring it to America. We're going to build factories. That's going to take a long time. But eventually, we'll have an automated system that does the screwing into the little screws, and that there will be more jobs for Americans to like oversee that and, troubleshoot and engineer. And
that's not for the average everyday American, though. That's the problem. Like, okay, let me not say the average everyday American. Like, listen, let me tell you something, okay? My father came here to this country, drove a cab. He made money driving, okay? Bought us a house, you know what I mean? Like, bought a couple houses. And then, obviously, like, invested in businesses and stuff like that. But started by driving. And I know technology is, like, moving where things like that don't necessarily happen all the time. But what's going on? We're not preparing the youth, too, for the changes.
All right, open your boxes. You get a tariff, and you get a tariff, and you get a tariff. Everyone gets a tariff.
I mean, they think it's a joke.
And old is dying, and the new is being brought forth, and it's a very exciting time to be alive. You may have noticed overnight that everything changed with President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. What that means is that there are going to be major expenses for virtually every country on earth to enter the American market. The reciprocal tariffs are intended to onshore new jobs into this country because the gutting of American manufacturing destroyed the middle class and put all of the money in the hands of an elite globalist cabal that hates the American worker and wants us all to be slaves and tax chattel for them. This is, of course, a evil that was visited upon our nation post-World War II when we decided to build an empire and control the globe. That's not the purpose of America, and Donald Trump is setting the table again.
But you can't fix it
to be
like this. Oh, my gosh. you know, Trump did tariffs before on his first term, and I felt like he was trickling it in, slowly bringing it in, and I'm not saying, look, I want to gut a lot of things, but we don't even have the factories ready, bro. Like, so, you know, this whole thing about, you know, the plan was to, by the way, before Trump really got in office, was he was going to do the tariffs, and he was going to end income tax. That's where it would have helped the American people. Yeah, you bring back the manufacturing, you offset it, because now people had the income tax loophole, right? It sounds crazy, but it actually could work. It could work. I mean, then we would start producing here and then export things. And then, you know, if you do that, please, you don't even need people's income tax. You strengthen the dollar, right? That's the second part I'm not hearing. So MAGA's telling their people, like, yeah, we did it. You know, it's like, all right, yo. Well, I pray for people in their mental health, because it's just, it's not looking good. I'll see you guys at the next one.